Alright, this is part 2 of the 2008 GMC Acadia brake and rotor job. So I left off, I was taking these off 13/16. I usually just make sure they're loose. And I slide them out a little bit. And if you notice, this thing will immediately start to fall. So we just slide that off. And I sit that over here to the side. Now it's time to take the rotor off. If you notice, you got a star screw here that you need to take out, and I believe that's a T35 or excuse me, a T30. And always just be careful because these are very easy to strip. So just what I do is give it a little tap with a hammer once I get it in there and go to take it off. Alright, so once we have that screw out, if you notice the rotor's on there pretty good, what I usually do is just take a rubber mallet, beat on it a little bit, then turn it a little bit, do the same thing, do that all the way around. If that still doesn't work, like the other side that I did, what I ended up having to do was take one of the old brake pads and I just sit it up against the rotor right here, and I actually take a hammer and hammer at it, and it usually pops right off when I do that. Alright, so now we got it knocked loose and it just pulls right off, and there we go. Now it's ready for the new rotor. Let me go grab it. And there's the new rotor on. Whenever you're putting it back on, just make sure to, when you're putting it on, make sure this hole lines up, because if not, you'll just have to take it off and then realign it and put the, again, that was a T30. Alright, so there's the rotor, the new rotor on. Next step is to remove these old clips off of here. And usually when you buy brakes, they come with new clips. These are fairly easy to take off. Just pull on them, they snap right out. And we're going to put the new ones back on. I just usually put in, do one side, do the other, and then I just push it down across the middle. Make sure it's secure. And the other side. Snap that side, and then make sure it's snapped across the middle. And that one went on really easily. Alright, so now we're going to put this back on. And again, that was the 13/16 bolts. I just leave them in there hanging. That way when I slide it back on here, it's fairly easy. Just slide it back over. Alright, as you can see, we got it back on there. Just got to tighten this one down. And then come down here and tighten this one down. And then we'll be ready to put the new pads on. You'll notice when putting the pads on, you've got one that has the, I guess it's the squealer, letting you know when your brakes are getting low. That one always goes on the front side. And as you can see, these little spring clips, you just push on there. And then just push it in there. And you'll see that they spring on those clips. And we do the same thing for the back side. Back side usually always gives me trouble. Just put that bottom side in and then snap it in. So now we got both of those on. Now it's time to cut the cable, the tie strap for that, and I use a C-clamp. I use the old brake pad. I'm going to put the old brake pad here, and then I use the C-clamp to force it back in. Always when decompressing these, make sure that you take the brake fluid cap off. And I'm going to do that and we'll be right back. So here's the C-clamp, and I've got them decompressed. So now what I need to do is just slide this over on the top and then the bottom. I always have to push these in where the screws go into. Always got to push those in so that it'll slide back on. And again, we got the 13mm bolts that go in there. There we go. Got the 2 screws right here and right here. They're tightened down. So it's tight now. Brakes are free moving. I always just double check, make sure I can push on them. New rotor. Now it's time to put the tire back on. Thank you for watching. Sorry about the shakiness of the camera.